The following is rated TV MALSV. It contains strong language, violence, and nudity. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Viewer discretion is advised.
Oh, wow. I'm a fucking moron. You guys maybe should have told me earlier. I had myself muted. And I've been talking, I guess. I'm a fucking moron for the whole thing. Oh, no. Yeah, I had myself muted. What the... Well... Great. Great job, Dave. Great job. Well, I've been talking a lot, and I've been responding to people in the chat, so I do apologize for being a moron. And I've been talking. Oh, well, you know, when things go wrong, they go wrong. All right. Back to the game. Oh, and I didn't even fucking transition it. Oh my god. Chat, so I do apologize for being a... Okay, well, here's what's happened since I started the stream. We examined what's going on and what's orbiting. We examined that Bullfrog just is hanging out. And we're going to the moon with a probe. So, this is what I've developed in the 15 minutes or whatever of me talking to myself. And we're trying to figure out whether or not this is sufficient to land on the moon. So we're just testing it out, and then we're going to place it on some sort of rocket to send to the moon. Can't, in Earth's atmosphere can't really, it's not really made to do this in Earth's atmosphere, so let's see if we can save it. No. Okay, but that's a good test. It's a good test. Let's go back. And we're back. So, it looks like I'm definitely straining the system. And I think I figured out exactly what the problem is. When it puts a lot of strain when things blow up. Because there's so many parts and the physics has to, you know, take control of that. So, we got to try to avoid crashing to avoid the computer from crashing. I do really much hope to have this finally done this weekend. I just have so much shit to do. But I need to basically pull out my computer's motherboard, clean up some stuff. I've got a new CPU cooler, and I want to add more RAM and a more powerful power supply. And that should basically put a nail in the coffin of any further issues. But let me just see here. Just want to make sure the video is working here. All right, so we're going back at it. Thankfully, this time it didn't corrupt the file, so I'm very happy with that. Now, obviously, Moon Probe 1 did crash, so its debris is still there. You can recover it actually or fly it, but it's broken, so it doesn't matter, so we recover it. And now we're going to go back to the vehicle assembly building. Also, my mic issue is going to be fixed then too, because I'll have the new stand on there. But I just have to take off the arm that's currently on there right now that's holding up one of my monitors. So just do a nice big wipe down on the desk and install everything fresh again. So we're going to open the craft that we did the other day. It was a very powerful, well, DocSat 1, the assembly. Okay, this rocket itself, very powerful, very useful. So, to save us some time, what we're going to do is we're going to take this and make it into a sub-assembly. Now, the sub-assemblies are just pre-made things that you design that you can always use later. So what we want is, we're going to want, this is the, that's that, actually, yeah. Let's take that. Oops. Okay, so it's asking, we'll name it what? So this is our, let's see here. We'll call this the Thanos. Actually, no, let's call it the Deadpool. I'm going to save that. So it's already in there. We're going to quit this, or we're going to open Moon, and we don't want to save this. Keep it in case we want to make another DocSat. So we're going to go to our Moon Probe 1, which is our auto-saved, and there it is. So, first is we're going to start retracted. And now we're going to raise this high enough for us to add the Deadpool. So now the Deadpool's ready to go. So the one issue is that they're too close, so I'm going to do that. And let's see here. We want to extend that there. Let's do this. Okay, so this is one of our decouplers. That's going to move there. And we're going to have to get some structure here to connect to that. We can use this, the radial attachment, which basically is just sort of like an additional aspect of the structure to give it something higher. But this, what this is going to do is it's going to eject it. Ejects both sides. So let me just show you here. Under coupling, you got two different ones, a decoupler. So it's got an explosive charge. I'll just read this out. Explosive charge linkage between itself and whatever it's connected to. It's very important also that this stuff allows for fuel cross feed, because certain parts need to be able to run. You know, if there's a fuel tank above this and a fuel tank below this, it has to be able to feed into that fuel tank. Yeah, so it's basically going to tell you it's going to detach in the direction that the arrows point. And this one goes both ways, as you can see. So with this one here, it's going to push. Actually, we're not. That's why we're not going to want this. Oops, hold on. What did I just do? Okay, so we're going to take that off. We're going to take this off, which is the separator, and it pushes it in both directions. The problem is at that point, we don't want that bouncing into this as well. We want it to push away. So there. See the arrow pointing up? Okay, now we're going to grab this. Actually, no. Do it backwards. Grab this to see the flash. Let us do it now. To the wrong spot. There we go. Halo. Okay, so it's that part that's giving us the problem. Okay. Alright, back to the drawing board. Too small. This one might work, yeah. Bigger because it is covering. Oops. Since it doesn't really want us to do that, we'll just start over again. Right, there we go. Fully contained. All right, let's save that. And all right, everything else is in the appropriate order. Actually, I do believe that there might be. Hold on. Nope, that's correct. Yeah. Yeah, good. Perfect. So I'm going to save, and we're going to launch. And I'm going to look back at the chat. Hello, Irish Dave. How are you? If, you know, if a assistant flight controller wants to call in, they're more than invited to do so. So, first, we are going to activate our SAS for stability and check our current location. So the moon is behind us essentially, and yeah, wouldn't be a problem to actually go now to land or to intercept the moon. So let me just do a final check here on systems. So normally in this sort of case, they're actually fueling. The fueling usually goes to the final moments before launch. A lot of these things have to be kept under temperatures, like very cold temperatures, and they get fed into the tanks, the main tanks, very close to launch, and the solid rocket boosters, those are ready to go at any point. So yeah, that's something that is real world. Everything's looking good in regards to our fuel, and we can view by stage, which is also very cool too, because right now we have this is a 3-stage craft. Well, yeah, it's 3 or 4. I mean, if you include the solid rocket boosters. So we can just go here and go stage view. And obviously once we start, we'll see that. They'll start to show up. But, okay, let's see here. Everything seems to be okay on the launch platform. We've got 18 viewers. Thank you for joining us here. We are about to attempt a landing on the moon with a probe to see if we can find a suitable landing spot for our future astronauts of the community. All right, let me just spark this up here. Moon probe 1 to flight tower, permission to launch. This is flight tower at Community Space Center. You have permission to launch, Moon probe 1. Godspeed. Counting down, full ignition in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. Full ignition start. 2, 1. Release of clamps. We have liftoff. We have liftoff of Moon probe 1. Sight to see here as the rocket begins to pierce through the atmosphere at supersonic speeds. Apparatus at 20 kilometers and rising. Surface speed at 500 kilometers now. 500 meters per second. Solid rocket boosters are about 30% consumed. Moon probe 1 connected to the Deadpool rocket seems to be faring quite well. Structure doing well. Full engine cutoff. Release of SRBs. Increase throttle to max. Slow speed. We have an apoapsis of 327 kilometers. And still a substantial amount of fuel. Proceed to prograde. Begin circularization attempts. We're going to want to point normal. Yeah. Now we are ever so conscious of the environment here. As such, we are attempting to avoid any additional space debris. And as such, we will attempt to crash the first stage into the ocean. There we go. We have expended the first stage. Moon Probe 1 to Space Command. We are ejecting the first stage. Successfully released from first stage. And now we will attempt to circularize, at which point we will have to attempt to adjust our orbit slightly to increase the normal and bring us on a more equatorial orbit. We are approaching our apoapsis. And we will wait till we get at least 100 kilometers out of the atmosphere. There it is. There we go. That is acceptable. And at this point we want to go to normal. We'll be pointing up, essentially, this way. No, it's radial. Is it radial out? No, that's what it was. Oh, it is radial out. Hold on. That's a little better. Okay. Still have about 60% fuel. Now we wait for the moon to come over the horizon. We're also going to eject the language here. We should have actually ejected that before we circularized. We're going to put ourselves into the prograde position. And we are quite high up, obviously. We're at about 600,000 kilometers, I believe. 700,000. 776,000 kilometers. Yes, Bam. Luis is so annoying. So if we take a look here, we still have a little bit of time left to go for the moon to come into our position here. Still want to try to adjust this orbit. We'll try that more when we're captured by the moon. Plus we have substantial amount of fuel. So even with even the monopropellant is going to be useful for maneuvering into different orbits. So we're now going to, we're checking our electric charge. That's good. Time warp a little bit. Go back to our map here. So we're waiting for the moon to pop up over the horizon, which is the quickest way of doing this. But the Deadpool rocket is quite good. I could have been more efficient with it, but it's got oomph. So it's a good launcher for obviously satellites, especially what was it called, the DocSat 2. That was really really heavy, and it was able to bring it up into orbit no problem. And still, you know, this third stage here definitely provides. Sorry, this is the second stage. It provides a lot of power and sufficient amount of fuel to do substantially a lot. So let's see where that moon is. It's still a little whiles away. I'm just going to do a little time warp. Let's do the time warp again. It's just about ready to come out. Should be, there it is. Okay. 2 million kilometers. Just wondering here. I want to reduce that, but watch my fuel. Oh, there we go. Because it's not the best. It's not the most optimal. Yeah, fuck. I missed it. So we're going to go retrograde. Very bad orbit, actually. There we go. We're going to keep it at about 2.1 million kilometer intercept. Now we're going to try to fix the alignment here. I want AP to go down, apoapsis to go down. That is supposed to be... Is it radio loud? No, if I'm pointing that way... Yeah, it should be doing this. Should actually... Nope. What? Okay. That's better. Leave it like that. Okay, so now we are cruising through space as we leave the influence of the planet and move towards the moon. Just looking at the chat here, and again, let's do a little time warp here as we move towards the moon. It's been about 2 hours since launch, 2.5 hours. All right, so we have an intercept about an hour. It's a little bit far away, but we want to get to that point and try to be as efficient as possible with our fuel to try to get captured by the moon's gravity. We still have this tank attached, and it'll be swung out into outer space, into deep space, but should allow us at least to be captured much closer, and then we have the final stage here that we'll be able to get us into orbit, and then allow us to actually descend to the surface. So I'm just going to slightly time warp. Oh, the electric charge. Fuck. Hold on. This might... Let's see if I can do this. Should have fucking thought of this. Yeah. Oh. We're reverting the flight. Good job, Dave. I depleted all my electric charge. I didn't deploy my fucking... my solar panels as I should have. Yeah, we're going to pretend that never happened. So, we're back here. Alright, so... Well, we had a lot of fuck-ups today, so I mean, what's another one? Was I going to improve this slightly by anything? Actually might work. There we go. Yeah. All right. So this entire thing now has extra charge. Substantial. So even if I don't deploy those, these will work. But Dave, you're cheating. Am I? Am I? All right, take 2. SAS on, rocket to full ignition. Blast off. We fucked up because we should have slowed ourselves down. But okay, so now we're going to go directly to 90 degrees. I ejected them now. So let's see, are these charging? Good. So at least now that's not going to happen again. Beautiful. Much better than before. All right, so now we will look back at our probe, set it into prograde, which will coincide with 90 degrees in a short moment. All right, we're locked and loaded, fully charged. Now we're just waiting to contact the moon, have visual contact. Oh, went too far. Well, let's go for another orbit then. Actually, this will be better. Actually, should we do it? Should I? Yes, we will. Perfect. Now we're going to get a better orbit. We are a little off on the equatorial, but that's good enough. All right. All right. We want actually prograde. And we're just going to wait now for the moon to show up on the horizon. There we go. That's the view I want. Also going to rotate. Actually, no, we want that. Almost there. So this will be the first official landing of a probe on the moon. And once we picked out a nice site, we're going to send our first guinea pig, see if they can survive. So you start thinking now who's expendable enough to risk going to the moon, but also risk actually having to admit that they landed on the moon and survived. So there we go, there's the moon. And this orbit is going to be much more efficient, much better. We are going through rocket fuel fairly quick. down. Okay, encounter at 2 million kilometers. Can we reduce that slightly? $128 kilometers. I'm okay with that. We do have some fuel left, not much. This stuff in this stage. And yeah, I'm limited with the amount of fuel. So this is going to have to be fairly effective once we reach the periapsis. We're going to have to fire our rocket in the retrograde position, and it's going to slow us down sufficiently to circularize and get captured by the planet. So charge is still good, unlike last time. And we're going to do a little time warp. Here's the transition. To the retrograde position and prepare for when we finally get closer there. Charge is still good. Six minutes till intercept. Two minutes. Okay, so yep. About 1 minute 50. For attempting our capture. All right. So we're going to just wait till we get a little bit closer, and then we're going to fire. Almost there. We still have some fuel in the rocket. So, 128 kilometers, 574 or 5. But we're going to want to come down on the, obviously on the bright side of the planet. So this would be inefficient to waste. if I use any more of the fuel, this stage is just going to be empty and we're not going to be any closer. But if I was on here, on this side, and then reduce this orbit, it's going to cost us a lot less fuel, which is what we're going to have to do. What's up, Nicky Nines? And because I want to make sure that we land on the bright side of the moon, we're going to have to wait until we're at that position. So the only option is to either time forward or to do something else. But I think we're just going to fast forward. Before we do that, I'll just take the SAS off. Doesn't really need to be on. All right, so we keep getting charged, which is good. And yeah, so we're just going to have to wait. So the light side is actually starting to rotate closer to, see now the light side is getting closer to the periapsis, which is what we want. Obviously it takes time if you're doing it this way. But this is slowly proceeding towards the side we need it. It's like Bullfrog trying to use a hula hoop. So it's been about 35 days, that's perfectly fine in space terms. Waiting for something to get into a position of a good orbit. And while we're waiting for this, I will roll myself a joint. And you know, this is a probe, it's not an actual living character, so it makes perfect sense that they would wait until they can get a proper landing. So how are you guys doing tonight? Anything on the menu? Nicky Nines, are you going to be doing Sims tonight? Okay, we're getting a little bit better. Let me just see this. Yeah, so we're like halfway there, I guess, because we're just getting dusk here. So we'll just have to go back to our nice quick speed. So I believe Heistman Defoe is doing a show tonight, and I'm not sure if Ken and Shannon are doing Flip Flop Fridays. I heard Nicky might be doing his Sims show, and he says it depends who streams. I'm not sure if Ken is doing anything, and I will be after Heist is off. Okay. So let's just slow this down here. Periapsis getting into a better position. Let's just zoom out a bit. So it's been 95 days. So not even a full year yet, which is fine. After all, we are testing the systems prior to sending a Kerbal to the planet. It's looking better now. At least we're not on the Terminator anymore, which is the line between night and day. So, let's see. I'm going to wait for a few more rotations here. Also gives me time to finish this joint. Although Tarkov is on my mind right now. It is a weird game. It looks tough. And yeah, looks challenging. I don't know, like, when it comes to Apex Legends, like, the game looks cool and it looks fun, but the whole waiting thing is, like, difficult for me in the sense that, you know, like, you don't respawn and you have to wait for so long just for the game to start over again that I'll never be able to actually play it properly to not die so quickly, you know? So, I don't know what to do with that, you know, if I should try to play somehow... or if I should just end up uninstalling the game. I did install Star Trek Online and been playing a little bit, but I want to go back, play some more, because I used to be fucking awesome at that game. I know there's a few people here that do play that, so I think it'd be cool to form a fleet and go shoot shit up. Alright, joint is lit. We are go. Well, we're going to go for one more spin around the block. Okay, so we want to go into retrograde. What this is going to do is, like I've mentioned before, fire the rockets in the opposite direction, and it's going to lower our orbit here from 128 kilometers to, well, to the ground. I like this place. These are the highlands, but, I mean, we can still, do I want to? My concern is coming in too hard. That's the problem. We need to make sure that it's not too steep. Well, there needs to be an equal amount on both. Nikki says, I'd hate Tarkov more. Apex just takes time. If you die, no biggie. You just play another game since it doesn't take long to get in. Yeah, I guess I'm still not understanding exactly how Tarkov works. You know what? I am going to try to... I'm going to try to wait till we get to the highlands, because this is better. You spin me right round, baby, right round. I'm starting to think these streams would probably be fun with some music playing in the background. But then there's the fucking copyright shit, and, you know, sometimes you can't hear me when I was playing the other stuff. A lot of configuration that needs to go into it. Time that I could just spend playing or streaming. This is a much better area on this highland here. Let's see. Go for a few more spins. All right, let's see how we are. Very craterous around here. All right, well, that's where we're going. So one more spin till we get to the apoapsis. Put ourselves into the position of retrograde. Fire the rest of our fuel. And try to land this bad boy. You can see our angle is off. Well, it's a little too much, but gave us our margins. We know how much it has. And thankfully, it's not going to remain in orbit. So this is great. So we are facing retrograde. And we're going to eject now the remaining portion here. Alright, we're going to use our monopropellant now to move away. Oops. What was it? Yeah, H. We're going to try to move away from the debris, which will hit first. And we now want to go with prograde. Let's see how much fuel we got. We got limited fuel, so we're gonna, oops, we gotta activate the engine. Alright, so here's the moon. There we go. That's a nice spot. Still a very deep, steep dive. I could reduce that. No, not yet. But yeah, I think that's sufficient amount of light. It's probably midday. No, midday would be here. It's early morning, I guess. Now we're not going to extend our solar panels just yet. We'll do that once we're on the ground, but we do need to watch our electric charge. In fact, what we will do is we will extend them now, and upon landing we will retract them before we extend them again. When the rockets do function, they do actually charge, so we don't have to necessarily keep them keep them open all the time. Extend our gear, and we're going to watch to see when our intercept time is. Okay. So we're going to go to retrograde. I'm actually going to disable monopropellant for now. And we're going to move closer to the moon. So what I'm going to try now is trying to use our monopropellant to oops, hold on. To try to decrease our speed. you see this is decreasing? So, I'm using monopropellant to do that. That's for thrusters and such, but it is helping to reduce a bit of the speed. Now, it's not made for this, but it does help cut out using the fuel, the main fuel. So we even saw the apoapsis start to move because we were actually generating enough force to start to really affect our orbit, or our failing orbit, if you want to call it that. It's a controlled fail though, because we want it to reduce and diminish. We do have to keep our eyes and thoughts on those solar panels. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to extract or retract all but 2. Why isn't it letting me retract? Interesting. Well, that's going to be a challenge. Is it? It's not on forward, is it? No. Interesting. Should be the option here to retract and extend. Well, let's do a little fast forward here. Speed is increasing, obviously, but our altitude. Altitude at 87 kilometers. We are going to go with a... Hold on. Why? Okay, there's something wrong here. Something is not fucking working. It's got charge. So, yeah. That's weird. It's fucked. Something's fucked. Okay, well. We're going to burn our monopropellant. It does a fairly good job slowing down. It's, again, made for orbital maneuvering and such, but it does a fairly good job slowing this down. It's not meant for it, but we do want to try to conserve our fuel, for when we're much closer. Altitude of 50. We're not even at 50% of the monopropellant used. We've reduced our speed by at least 100 meters per second. And I'm not going to use it all. All right. I'll leave that there. 35 kilometers. Perfect. So now, still have about 50% fuel. We are now at 120 meters. And what we want to do is we do want to stick with retrograde, which is the absolute opposite direction that we're moving in speed, in direction. So we're not drifting anywhere. We're at 27 kilometers. It looks like we're headed for just an outside area about here. Looks like that's where we're headed. We still have substantial fuel, and we can utilize our monopropellant as well. So at 24 kilometers, 170 meters per second. Let's try to reduce that as much as possible. I still want some monopropellant to potentially maneuver the craft over the launch site, or the landing site, I should say. But this is good for reducing the speed substantially and not utilizing any of our main fuel. Now, ideally, we want 3.3 meters per second to land on the moon. The tolerance of these legs should allow for something like 6.6. So even with rockets, you can use at that point monopropellant to try to even further reduce the speed. You're trying to come in as obviously as softly as possible. And the issue always is to figure out how close the land is, because although this is what's telling you, this is your radar, but it's not necessarily tell you how the distance between you and this. So things are a little different and such. So we're at, okay, so that's how much we can reduce. Speed at 6. We usually see our shadow come up probably from this side. Get the fuck out of here. Okay, so our speed is reducing substantially. So now we're going to want to go with rockets. Really close to the edge of that crater there. Coming in good. Speed is reducing. We have to keep on top of that. Not allow us to... Okay, that's good. See, we're using monopropellant, and it can allow us to reduce our speed substantially, so we can come in very soft without using the rockets. See, there's our shadow. So about 40% fuel. Even a little bit of thrust basically will set this thing like start to fly up again. See? So you got to be very, very careful. This should work. Engines off. Monopropellant disengaged. Ladies and gentlemen, you have just witnessed the first ever landing of a probe on our closest neighbor, the moon. Much adulation and cheers coming from Community Space Center. And it is a beautiful thing. Picture perfect touchdown. And what a view that is. What a view of Moon Probe 1 looking directly at the planet that birthed it. With still substantial monopropellant left in case a move from the site is necessary. Substantial amount of fuel left in case any samples need to be returned to orbit. And full electric charge, ready to continue to live on the surface of the moon to provide us the necessary information we need to send a manned crew. Beautiful. Give yourself a round of applause, people. You helped us do it. Just like all those fans that just watch the sports teams, but they did it when they win the Super Bowl. You won it too. You won this prize as well. And a beautiful thing it is. So now the important thing is to figure out exactly, whoops, we got to turn off our RCS. Let's take a look at this site to see if it is good for any potential landing. It's actually extremely flat for the most part. Obviously, we're a little bit on a slight incline. But here, for example, that's flat. This is where these two hills sort of meet. This is another flat area, and we are close to these two craters here. Nice little flat spots down there. And down here as well. But obviously, because they're deep down in here, they're affected by the light, so you do want to go for a highland. Something as flat but as high as possible compared to the rest of the mountains and craters that are in the vicinity. So there's our little probe. Looking good. And let's see here. Can I do anything? No. That's what we'll do. Excellent. All right. Well, this feels great. We accomplished something very good. Wondering if we should go for some other exploration. Whether we should send something out to another planet, or perhaps we want to see somebody explode. That's always fun. So yeah, I am curious. So now what we're going to do is we're going to quick save. Well, it looks like that's the end of our fun. Another shutdown. You know, we did a lot today. And I had fun. I had fun that you guys joined us. And it is what it is. I got to still fix the computer, add the upgrades and all that sort of thing. But, you know, it was recorded. You guys stuck around. It was fun to do. We successfully landed very beautifully on the moon. And the design was sound. So, yeah, I'm very satisfied with what we did today. But, you know, I think I'm going to stop, you know, pushing the bull and call it enough for gaming. OBS seems to also really push the system. So, but yeah, so that's going to be enough from me. I know that Nicky was saying that he's feeling Tarkov. Maybe he wants to do that now or something. I know that Heist is going on, I think, at 9 tonight. There might be a Flip Flop Friday. And there's also The Sims that Nicky does play. So, yeah, and apparently there's going to be new characters made and such. So, yeah, I always look forward to that. That should be fun. But, yeah, I guess that's the end of that chapter of Kommunity Kerbals, episode 5. You know, an hour and 40 minutes. Granted, the first 15 minutes I was an idiot and had myself muted and hadn't even transitioned to the screen where I was showing everyone what was going on. So, yeah, we'll chalk it up to an L today. So on that note, thank you all for joining us. I appreciate all those that showed up, including those that recently showed up here. Z the Reaper, and yeah, JR4 the Third, everyone else I talked to. So yeah, hope you guys have a great Friday night, and yeah, I'm sure I'll see you around. Good night.